Coming up, injured at boot camp.
I do remember tripping and rolling down a hill.
This Marine tried to push through the pain.
I got to get through and I got to graduate.
Surgeries and therapy followed.
The pain never went away.
Years later, she's confined to a wheelchair.
Like, that was my question. What happens now?
Now see her stand tall.
God healed mommy last night.
Today on the 700 Club.
Yessenia wanted to serve her country, and she paid a heavy price to do so. She was seriously hurt in boot camp and later received a medical discharge. Then, within a few years, Yessenia was paralyzed from the waist down.
We came back from a field exercise, and it was in the rolling hills of Quantico, Virginia. We were going back to our platoon, and I just remember wearing my complete gear, including my hiking pack. There was a lot of pretty heavy equipment on.
In 2008, Yessenia Buckley was in Marine boot camp when she fell down a hill on her back.
I do remember tripping and rolling down a hill. I just remember feeling that excruciating pain that radiated down my back into my legs, but I just had that mentality of I got to get through and I got to graduate, and I did. But the pain never went away.
As a result of the fall, she suffered a serious spinal injury and was eventually discharged on medical grounds. After the Marines, Yessenia and her husband pursued a Christian mission assignment in Panama. However, as time went on, her injury worsened.
We wanted to start a family, and I got pregnant with my son. Little did I know that I did have a spinal cord injury, and so it was a hard pregnancy. Then I had my daughter 16 months later. My back literally gave out at the end of my daughter's, my pregnancy with my daughter, and I was bedridden and had to wear like a kind of like a back brace.
I had no idea like the severity of the injury when it first occurred. When I would go off to work at the church and then come back, and then like her back was locking up where the point where she couldn't get off the ground by herself. We knew something was really wrong there.
Yessenia began seeing a spinal cord specialist, Dr. Juan Santiago, who recommended surgery.
We did physical therapy, we did acupuncture, we sent her to neurosurgery, we sent her to a neurologist. She was not able to walk.
He was honest that it would be a slow recovery and that sometimes nerves just don't regenerate, or they do very, very slowly.
A lumbar fusion surgery also failed.
I'll never forget that day. Like, opened up the CD where it could show the MRI, and he said, "It looks like the instrumentation from your first surgery has completely collapsed." I just remember the first thing that I said was, "What happens now?" Like, that was my question. What happens now?
It's like she was a paraplegic. Paraplegic is a patient that can't walk.
The Buckleys began calling friends and family to pray for healing.
We had an army of people praying for us, both in Panama during and before surgery. My family back here in the States were praying for us. Friends and family of my husband, and even in the Marine Corps.
Discouragement set in, along with the fear that she may be in a wheelchair the rest of her life.
I was kind of homebound to the first level of my townhome, and I did start getting discouraged that, you know, after 2 surgeries, after all the therapies that I had gone, because I never declined one therapy, and things were really hard.
One evening, she was watching a healing story on television that gave her hope.
And I had watched the 700 Club, because CBN has always been there for us. We used the prayer line. We have been blessed by the testimonies of so many other people, and just cried out to God because I saw this amazing story of this lady being healed, and I was so happy for her. And I said, "God, I know that you still heal. I know that you do that. I'm seeing it, and I want the same. I want to feel your healing power, and I know that you can do it."
Later that night, as Yessenia was sleeping on her living room couch, she felt a strange sensation in her legs.
As I was crying and saying that prayer out loud, I felt this like heat come down, like almost through my whole body, like from my waist down to my feet, and it was a pretty intense heat. And I didn't realize that God had gotten me up and I was in the bathroom already, standing up without the wheelchair, until I think my body was able to recognize that I was walking.
The next thing I know, I was being woken up, and she was standing in the door frame of our bedroom, and she was literally standing there. And it's kind of like one of those moments, like, is this really happening or am I dreaming? She basically said, Michael, that God has healed me, and just jumped out of bed, ran to her, gave her a hug.
The next morning, Michael and Yessenia shared the great news with their children.
My husband just said, God healed mommy last night.
We're just thankful that God has already used Yessenia's story in so many ways. That's been our prayer this whole time, that God would use our marriage, our children, our family, our lives to His glory, to bring people to Jesus.
This is the first time I see something like that. You ask me why she's walking, how she's walking, I will tell you, I don't have a medical answer.
After years of being bound to a wheelchair, Yessenia is now mobile. Although she still has a few limitations, she loves to spend time at the beach, admiring God's creation and praising Him for what He did for her.
God still brings me to that beach, even though I can't run on that beach. God still brings me to the times when I became a Christian, was when I would go out there and cry my heart out. It's really just not my story. It's kind of all our stories. It's a story of hope and love. I want people to know that they're not alone in their circumstance, and that whether it's in a wheelchair or not in a wheelchair, whatever their disability is, whatever their struggle is, that God does hear our prayers, and that they're not alone.
God knows that, and God wants to answer those dreams of being healed. That prayer that you've been crying out repeatedly to Him, Lord, heal me, Lord, set me free. He is going to do that for you. He's ready, willing, and able to do that for you.